What if the most important message humanity ever received wasn't a message at all? Not words, not symbols, not sound, just a silent ripple passing through the cosmos. An invisible tremor brushing across the fabric of reality. So subtle it lasted only 4,000ths of a second. 4 milliseconds. Barely the blink of an eye. Yet enough to unravel humanity's greatest assumption, that we were alone. The moment it happened, no alarm sounded. No one panicked. In a research facility tucked deep inside the Atacama Desert, a group of tired technicians stared at a monitor that flashed a single orange spike. At first they dismissed it as a glitch, heat interference, maybe a calibration error. But one technician, the only one still awake enough to question it, ran the data again. The spike repeated. The same shape, the same duration, the same impossible curve. Natural phenomena don't repeat with that level of precision. Within an hour, the data hit universities. Within 3 hours, it hit space agencies. And by dawn, every major observatory on Earth had confirmed it. The ripple was real. The universe had trembled. All previous radio signals could be dismissed as static, but space-time does not distort without cause. It must be pushed, bent, manipulated, and the energy required to create a ripple detectable across light years was beyond anything humanity could achieve. For 3 days, the world's governments tried to contain the news. For 3 days, scientists argued, debated, panicked. And for 3 days, humanity existed in a fragile bubble of ignorance. Then the story leaked. The public's reaction was predictable. Some people fell to their knees in prayer. Others began stockpiling food. Markets crashed. Social media erupted. Some believed it was the beginning of contact. Others believed it was the end of the world. But while the world argued, something far more important was happening behind closed doors. Teams analyzing the ripple realized that hidden inside the distortion, buried at a quantum level, was a structure. Not noise, not randomness, a pattern. By itself, the pattern meant nothing. But when a research group at Caltech applied a spatial reconstruction algorithm used for gravitational lensing, the pattern expanded and became a coordinate. The ripple was pointing at something. A region of space 11,000 light-years away, empty, unremarkable, ignored. Except archival star maps revealed something curious. 6 centuries earlier, a star in that precise location had vanished. Not exploded, not collapsed, just vanished, like someone switched it off. That discovery shook the scientific community more than the ripple itself. Stars don't disappear quietly. Something had happened there, something powerful enough to alter the star's fate. And now, centuries later, something powerful enough to send a ripple across the universe. For the first time, a question entered the conversation. A question no one wanted to say aloud. Was the ripple a greeting? Or a warning? In the months that followed, world powers formed an unprecedented coalition, Project Obsidian. Publicly, it didn't exist. Privately, it was humanity's first attempt to make sense of the impossible. Physicists, mathematicians, cryptographers, linguists, people who barely agreed with themselves, let alone each other, were locked in a single mission: decode the ripple. Understand its origin. Prepare for whatever might come next. 6 months into the project, they discovered something terrifying. That pattern hidden in the distortion wasn't just a map. It was a timeline, a clock, a countdown, 3 years, 11 months, 17 days. To what, no one knew. But when governments learned there was a deadline, silence became mandatory. Whatever was coming, humanity wasn't ready for panic or hope. 2 years passed quietly. The world moved on. The ripple faded into conspiracy memes and forgotten news segments. People stopped looking up, except for the scientists, the generals, and the few world leaders who knew something was approaching. Something on a cosmic schedule. Then, without warning, the second ripple hit. This one didn't last 4 milliseconds. It lasted 50, and it was stronger, Sharper, deliberate. And unlike the first, this one contained a shape, a spiral, not a natural one. Not the Fibonacci sequence. Something inverted, recursive, infinitely self-similar. Mathematically impossible unless deliberately engineered. When the pattern was enhanced, it looked almost like a symbol, a sigil, a calling card. What shook the scientific teams wasn't its alien nature, but its familiarity. Variations of that same spiral appeared in carvings from cultures isolated by oceans and millennia, etched into temple walls in Peru, carved into stone in Nepal, painted beneath ruins in northern China. Humanity had seen it before, centuries before telescopes, millennia before modern science. How? The second ripple carried no words, no obvious meaning. But buried inside its structure was an updated coordinate. The same starless region, but now the pattern had changed, expanded, as though whatever sent it was moving, approaching. Only then did people ask the question everyone had been avoiding. Were we the intended audience? Or had we intercepted a message meant for someone else? Because if the ripple wasn't speaking to humanity, then the intended recipient was still out there, and whatever sent it was still waiting for a reply. Project Obsidian worked day and night. As the countdown ticked closer to zero, security around the project tightened. Everything was classified. Everything was monitored. Because another fear had grown quietly in the background. What if someone else on Earth already understood the symbol? What if the spiral wasn't alien at all, but something ancient and forgotten? Then, a year before the countdown expired, Project Obsidian made the discovery that changed everything. Inside the second ripple was a secondary pattern, a harmonic signature, a faint resonance that did not match the first signal. It was as if two different entities had altered space-time at different times, and their ripples had overlapped. Humanity hadn't intercepted a message between aliens. Humanity had intercepted the remnants of a confrontation. The first ripple came from the disappearing star, an event of impossible power. The second ripple came from somewhere else, something moving, shifting, hunting. Something following the path of the first. They weren't communicating, they were tracking each other, and humanity was caught in the crossfire. When the countdown reached 1 month, the final ripple arrived. It was no longer subtle. It slammed into space-time so violently that sensors on the moon detected it before Earth did. Every observatory in the world picked it up, and within its distortion was a single shape, a sphere. Not a planet. Not a star. Something denser, heavier. A gravitational signature so compact it forced physicists to rewrite what should be possible. It wasn't an object, it was a vessel. Something immense, old, and powerful. Coming toward the coordinates of the vanished star. Coming toward the origin of the first ripple. Coming toward us. No message, no request, no warning, just motion, steady, deliberate, inevitable. By the time world leaders realized what was happening, it was too late to stop the panic. Too late to hide the truth. Too late to prepare for whatever would emerge from the darkness of interstellar space. The vessel, if that's what it was, would arrive within days. And humanity had only one question left. Were we about to witness a civilization beyond comprehension? Or the aftermath of something that destroyed one? The countdown hit zero and the sky began to change.